Good evening, everybody. I'm Andrea, and I'm responding to the claim that television has a negative effect on children. To support this claim, he stated that children are exposed to violence on television daily. They often spend too much time watching television, and television negatively affects a child's learning abilities. To respond this, television does not always cause negative effect on children. To support my claim, I will argue that the news is actually helpful for children to find out more about other cultures and people. The important thing for parents to do is to choose their children's television viewing wisely. Children might portray violence as funny, like Irvin said, but if children view educational cartoons, like for instance Dora the Explorer, Diego Go, and Blue's Clues, children will want to engage in fun learning games. They will want to interact and learn activities. For example, if you have a child who loves Blue's Clues, you can create clues and riddles for them to solve at home, or challenge your child to create the riddles and clues. Youngsters should never be left unattended while watching television unless the programming shows educational display. Irvin claims watching television can be very unhealthy. He included that American Heart Association did a study of 800 people that show heart problems for those who watch TV more than 6 hours compared to those who watch less than 2 hours of television per day. Each additional hour spent in front of the television increases the risk of dying by 18%. And not only that, but the study showed this for adults, not children. Kids who watch more entertainment programs watch fewer informative programs as they get older. Children who view educational programs tend to have higher grades, are less aggressive, and value their studies more when they reach high school, according to the long-term study given in the University of Siena. Taking into consideration, children are most likely never settle down, and not only that, but schools require physical education for students nowadays. This means children are being physically active and can reduce the unhealthy issue. Children usually interpret watching television as a hobby. Due to this, the most important thing about a parent is to choose their children's television viewing carefully and select the content of the show. This goes to the second claim, that children spend too much time watching television, which prevent children from interacting with parents. Television gives family members of all ages an opportunity to spend time together while watching it. They can also discuss the topic and how they felt about the show. They can also compare and contrast what they saw together. Lastly, my peer strongly declares that television affects a child's learning ability. This is not true. Children can build analytical skills by discussing media. Children watching educational programs show that they are effective and help children generate ideas for learning activities and using characters to motivate kids. Parents are the authority making the choice for their children. Thank you.
All right, you started off labeling the main point pretty clearly. I didn't think that the secondary issues were as clearly set up, and then you just kind of start driving in with your counterclaims. I thought the counterclaim on the first point is okay, but I'm not sure that it's competitive to the argument that the advocate is presenting. In essence, you're suggesting that there is programming that is valuable to kids, and Nobody's going to be challenging that, but is that what kids are watching? Maybe there's an argument to be made about whether or not there is adequate control over what kids watch, and that's really where there should be a little bit more emphasis. Your examples are okay, but they're mostly hypothetical, the thing with Blue's Clues and Dora the Explorer, for instance. The health issue rushes up. I don't know if this was a secondary or a supporting point on the advocate's first claim, and that's why it's confusing, or if it was a separate claim and you're treating it as if it's part of the first point, but it just felt really much like it had been, squished together in here instead of being a separate issue to develop. We got some of the same kind of thing. You've got a little bit of a counterclaim here. Based on educational programming, but I'm not sure that it really addresses the health issue very clearly. Then you do have a second point. This time you labeled it more effectively concerning family time, but all you've got here are hypothetical examples. I don't remember what the advocate's evidence on this point was. You don't really challenge the advocate's evidence on this point. You just present a hypothetical on that situation. And then the same thing with the last point. I think we're running into the same issue here. So there needs to be a little bit more contrast to what the advocate's arguments were as you're developing these points and an assessment of their evidence. You give some good counterclaims on these points. The delivery is a little bit problematic because there's a lot of reading. It sounds a little dry. Sometimes it doesn't really sound like you're connecting with the material and explaining what you're talking about. You're just making arguments for the purpose of making an argument. And unless you tell us why what you're saying is more important than what the advocate says, it's just noise. It needs to be something that is understandable and that the audience can utilize. And I didn't really feel that way on a couple of the points. All right. Thank you.